Welcome to Power Charting. I'm Bruce Frazier, your host. We have a very special episode for you today, and we have with us Roman Bogomazov. Roman, thanks for being here.
Bruce, as always, it's my pleasure to be here with you and to discuss the market.
We have a lot to do. So we
Yes.
have some great news for the Wyckoff community, and then you're going to take us through some recent real-time trading that you have been doing and talk about the current markets. Have a couple of announcements, so let's get started. But here we go. Ramon's going to talk about some very exciting things that are happening for the Wyckoff Nation, and then we're going to get into intraday trading with Ramon. And then if we have time, we'll look at some point and figure studies and breadth indicators. So with that, Ramon, we had a great Wyckoff market discussion session yesterday.
Yes.
And it was very exciting. We covered the current markets, and we covered some very interesting stocks. Tell us more.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that Wyckoff market discussion is probably the class to be in if you want to be aware about our opinions, about the opinions of the Wyckoff Nation on what's going on right now. We've been following the markets, not just on the weekly basis, literally on the daily basis. And we've been inviting all of the students from our school, to come to this class. And, Bruce is just doing such a great job, bringing us new analogs, discussing, the overall environment, what's potential scenarios, could develop. And, I'm showing a lot of the trades and the analysis just based on the intraday, just because of how velocity is so high and you have to be on lower time frames. So all of that is being discussed there. I would highly encourage anybody who is into Wyckoff method to join us for those discussions. You are most welcome.
Well, I believe that your trading tactics these past weeks have been spot on, especially considering the remarkable volatility that we've been coping with and how best to be able to navigate that, and then also make make good low risk trades in a high volatility environment.
It's been challenging, but with your help and the help of the whole Wyckoff Nation, I think that we went through this period, pretty well.
Now, I want to say that you have a couple of courses coming up, and we can certainly talk more about those in a minute. But you have the summer series of the Wyckoff Trading Course, Part 1 and Part 2, that are coming up. And for anybody that wants to really sharpen their Wyckoff trading skills, these are the classes to take. Tell us more.
Well, first of all, Wyckoff Trading Course, either Part 1 or 2, we consider those fundamental courses, meaning that any type of trader, either you're a stock trader, Forex trader, a Bitcoin trader, commodity trader, can take these classes and learn the fundamentals of the analysis and execution, meaning that we're going to go through the Wyckoff price structural analysis, and that's very unique. It's very contextual to the market. Tape trading techniques, supply and demand, volume and price, effort versus results. Those are extremely important concepts to us. Relative and comparative analysis. This is something more of the common knowledge, but we give our Wyckoffian twist to that. We give some of the nuances that are extremely important to us, and obviously, tactical things that we are discussing in those series as well. So very fundamental knowledge, and I would highly recommend anybody. And summer series is only 12 sessions, and we also have the promotion right now, so please sign up.
And where do they go to do that?
WyckoffAnalytics.com, and there you could find all of our live classes.
Right here. Great. And you have, I think, a very exciting class coming up,
Yes,
which is the structural scanning course. And this class is so exciting to me that I am going to attend as a student. And I'm very excited
that's
for
excellent.
this. Yeah.
Yes, and this class is going to be led by one of our students who has been taking the classes for quite some time, including WMD class with Bruce. And, you know, a lot of our students have grown into contributors. And it's just so exciting, Bruce, and to have the community as such vibrant community that, you know, produces new talent and it comes out like this. And John has been just like so excellent on with the skiing class. We conducted part one. It was very successful. So we moved part two just because of the market actions. And now it seems like everything is coming down. So this is a great time to think about scanning for the current market environment. What kind of stocks are you picking, you know, to buy in this environment? You know, for what time frame? You know, what kind of characteristics, scan characteristics would you be looking for? So it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to this.
This is a question that I get all the time. Is there a good scan for picking up Wyckoff type candidates? And this course, as I understand it, is going to be scanning methods, which uses the stock chart scanning engine,
Hmm.
but the orientation of the logic of the scanning is going to be towards Wyckoff setups.
Correct.
And so this is what makes it very exciting is it's just not how to scan, it's how to scan for Wyckoff. And so, and then also scanning for context, meaning that there are certain times in a market cycle to use certain types of scans, and there's other times to use other kinds of scans. And so I expect that not only will there be a great uh, building of knowledge about the logic of how to scan, but also there's going to be a great library of scans that the students are going to come out of this with.
Absolutely.
Now, the the other thing that I am excited about with this, or let me ask you this as a question, is that this is scanning part two. For someone who has not attended scanning part one, will they still be able to get value from this?
Absolutely. The first session will be all review of part one. John is going to go through the basic syntax, basic scans that he presented in the first session, and I'm going to take some time, um, and we probably might even start with that. I'm going to go through the conditions of the market that are favorable for specific scans, and we'll kind of create the logic throughout the whole price cycle as to what kind of scans would we be applying at this particular point of the price structure and the price cycle.
The, very exciting. Starts April 2nd, so, and then runs for three sessions. So with that, let's keep moving on because there's a great, very exciting announcement that we really both have
Mhm.
about the communal Wyckoff watch list. Ramon, tell us about this.
Well, this is something that Bruce and I discussed like more than a month ago, and this has been in the works for probably more than a year. And a month ago, it didn't make sense, you know, to launch something like this because of the market conditions and had, you know, the velocity and volatility in the market. But this is very exciting now that we're launching this, and we are putting the emphasis on communal. What does it mean? It means that our community, the Wyckoff Nation, will participate in the creation of this Wyckoff watch list. And whoever from our community and even from outside would like to send us your weekly candidates for trading for the selection in the large and mid cap stocks, and we're starting with those. You know, you guys could do this by sending us an email to wyckoff@gmail.com. That email should include your stock charts chart list, and that's very important because we will not be accepting, you know, just separate symbols or anything else, any type of charts. We really would like to receive an email from you based on the stock charts chart list that you created. And then as we consolidate those lists, Bruce and I will have an opportunity to go through all of those candidates and then focus that list, minimize that list, and we will present the final version each week. Bruce, I think this is so exciting. I can't wait, for us to kind of like get into the process, into the routine, and start doing this on a weekly basis.
I'm very excited, not only for our community, but I'm excited for me because, and for you, because
Yes.
we're going to have our whole Wyckoff community putting eyeballs on the market and identifying Wyckofian stock candidates and then boiling them down to a list of their favorite ideas. So a list doesn't have to be a big list they would submit. It's just a list of their favorite ideas. It could be a few names. But we're going to then put the best of those ideas into this communal watch list. And so we're going to have the best of the best ideas from our whole community in one place. This is going to be fun.
Yes.
Now, the way that they would submit a chart list is they would submit it to this email address.
Yes, wyckoff@gmail.com. Please send us your stock charts chart list to that email, and as we receive it, we will be able to go through that list. Again, our students will do that, and then once that list is created, Bruce and I are gonna just go through that and finalize the selection.
So we're going to switch screens at this point, and Ramon's going to take over and just very briefly look at that screen or that web page, and then we're going to get on to the next part, which is looking at intraday trades. So here we go. All right, so now we're on Ramon's screen here. Ramon, you're going to show us how to get to this community chart watch list.
Yes, so the first thing that you have to do is just to go to charts and tools. And this is going to be, quite a long page here. So you have to scroll down almost to the bottom. And here, under the reports and more, there is one option for the public chart lists. So you just press that. And that will bring you to the collection of public chart lists that Stock Charts publishes. And by the way, I was not aware of this until recently, and it's just like such an interesting, good tool. Then under the search, and I don't know why exactly it works this way, you have to do it maybe twice, and then our list comes up really quickly once you put in Wyckoff.
So just put in Wyckoff and then it brings up.
Mhm.
Got it. Okay.
Press on that and you're here. So we're gonna change some of the things here at the top. Again, we just literally launched yesterday, but here's your list. There are 4 pages and I think that will change, but Bruce and I will discuss, maybe we'll have just like the top 50, more defined number, and off you go. You just go through the list. Bruce, maybe we could go somewhere in the middle because we've discussed some yesterday. Why don't we discuss some of them?
Absolutely.
All right.
So,
Well, this first one is technology stock, software, Norton Life Lock. What do you think about that?
well, here's a beautiful accumulation structure that goes back, and this there's an attempt to create a sign of strength where it on a gap, and then it pulls back into the structure one last time for a last point of support, which is something that we get often after a sign of strength. And then from there, you can see that there's a beautiful higher low and then another higher low. And look at how the inability of Norton to be able to pull back uh, very much on that second, yeah, right there. That's just very bullish looking. And then of course it runs up into a climax of sorts, which needs to be absorbed. And so we're currently in a trading range, but look at, or some kind of a range bound condition, but look at that beautiful pullback above the long-term moving average. So that's really constructive because most of the stocks in
Mhm.
all the exchanges are well below their long-term moving averages right now, and their long-term moving averages are turned down. And then the other thing is there's a beautiful relative strength line there, and you can see this big base in the relative strength and then a resolution into an uptrend, which means that now the stock wants to be leadership. So that's what I see.
Bruce, and I think that for the watch list, that's kind of like exactly what we want to find, right? Because we want to find, Wyckoff structure for us. We want to find the causality. We also want to find, emergence of the new trend, and we study that in classes very thoroughly. And Bruce just described all of this price action so nicely. And um, we also want to contextualize where we are in the structure relative to what the market has done. And again, I'm just repeating Bruce here, but market was going down significantly. This stock did not go down as much. So they were not selling it. And we could see this also in the volume signature. There's not a lot of selling during the market reaction. So these are the type of candidates that we want to see in our Wyckoff communal watch list. Bruce, uh, let's go through Novadear because this is the stock that we've been actually following in WMT. We've been doing the anatomy of the trade. We have the trades from here, then here. We had a trade here, and somewhere here. So we've been trading Novadear during the class really consistently.
Yeah, so
What?
each Wyckoff market discussion, we go into the anatomy of a trade. We've been looking to exclusively at NVIDIA from this perspective. Roman selected it. It was a beautiful selection. And then look at how well it went up after that. And it's just been a great case study, Roman. So I'll let you.
And again, same characteristics, right, Bruce? As you said,
Yeah.
holding above moving average, having a relative strength, being in the group that is kind of like a big force behind the market since actually the lows of 2009, and still very much persistent in the way how it reacts in with the market.
This is a much better acting stock than the market as a whole. And of course, this is very important to us. And this is something that we would be looking for in scanning technique also,
Mhm.
is how to identify these. Let's take a minute and look at Old Dominion, the next one,
Mhm.
because I'm actually pretty excited about the truckers. And
Yes.
I see a lot of really interesting candidates in the truckers. And I would my eyeball goes right to the last bars on the right. We'll look at the launch of Old Dominion off of a small, looks like an accumulation structure. Probably would look very good on an intraday chart, but the veracity with which it's rallying off of the attempt to test the long-term moving average, I think, is really compelling.
And also the relative strength has been showing up,
Yeah.
since June, coming out of the big structure. Bruce, let me ask you this question. And this is kind of like a regular discussion that we would have in WMD. What do you think is the reason now that with everything that's going on, why the trucking is showing signs of strength?
Well, I think that uh, the one thing that's a technical reason is the relative strength is showing that the truckers are leadership. Old Dominion is leadership because it's in a relative strength uptrend. And so we would expect a stock that's in relative strength uptrend to become relative strength again when the market stops correcting, which it did here recently. And so that's probably the most important thing. And then the other part of it is, so somehow or another, the internal dynamics of the trucking industry have become really, really good since the middle of last year. And so this is showing up in the relative strength. And then the second part is that I just think that the sheer magnitude of the um, Fed liquidity infusions and also the fiscal policy, $2 trillion of fiscal stimulus is going to cause the economy to come raging back. And there's going to be a lot of business for the truckers. There's a shortage of truckers right now.
Yes. Amazing. All right. Well, with that, should we jump to our next topic,
Yeah,
Bruce?
let's keep going. I know that everybody's going to want to hear your discussion about the current intraday trading environment. And I want to say, because Ramon said, well, it's like it's intraday trading now, but normally that's not necessarily your orientation is to be trading on the intraday, but that's what this current environment calls for. So with that, Ramon, take it away.
Yeah, so because, WMD classes happen only once a week and the market was so fast, we had to make sure that we provide analysis to our Wyckoff Nation on a more consistent basis, almost daily. That's how fast the market is right now. So Bruce has been doing a great job, with the power charting, with the blogs, and I just kind of like took it to Twitter and started posting some of the analysis because I felt that our members would benefit from this real time. So I'm just gonna show you some of the tweets with the analysis where we're identifying a potential bottom. So these are just the charts that were posted uh, really at the spots where the chart is shown. So as we go through multiple lows here, and we started seeing some buying even at the preliminary support into the selling climax, into the national emergency announcement, into phase B testing. And there was an idea here that this was a potential spring marginal lows. Then it fails on given Newsom announcement. And we were thinking that there's going to be a reaction to the downside. The question was, will it be more substantial, climactic, or will it be more of this sprint type of the reaction? And obviously, we don't predict, we just follow the price. And the next day, on the 23rd, the price showed us change of behavior, created resistance to overcome, which was very important, and needed to hold that low. So you kind of could see as the analysis progresses, how we are thinking about this analysis. And those are all of the fundamental Wyckoff concepts. Move to the downside has to have continuation, no continuation after the gap, pre-US session aggression as a change of behavior, uh, creation of these two very important bars on the intraday level, no ability to create the new low, and that's how we go through the analysis, tweet by tweet, so to say. And you could see how analysis evolves, making the new high, trying to make the new high, trying to break it again, but the character changes with every reaction. And here we're making the call that, if it overcomes this level, and it seems like it will at this point, then we're gonna start rallying, which indeed happened. And as we go through the analysis, and this is, by the way, Bruce's, on the PNF, so this is from his blog, so check this out. We're starting to make some assumptions about the targets. And by the way, Bruce, we need to publish your PNF targets as well, from yesterday's class.
Okay.
Looking at the capitulation bar and defining on the tape reading level what that potential level is, using also Fibonacci retracement. That's important because a lot of traders are going to look into that. Again, Bruce's 1962 analog, we're going to see this in a second. Let me just show this to you because it's just really, really cool. Right here. So Bruce compares the current environment to 1962. I thought, Bruce, that was such an excellent comparison structurally. And we still have to see, how we're going to create some kind of course here, whether we're going to have the same type of rally or not. So all of those questions we were discussing in WMD.
And we don't need to get ahead of the market. We can just wait for the market to give us its cues about what it wants to do, which is your point. Absolutely your point.
And sometimes I would show real trades. So this is like the trade that was unfolding. I was shorting volatility through puts, expecting some kind of climactic action, which occurred here on the intraday. Change of behavior that follows, adding to the position, scaling out a little bit, and still working on that trade. Any type of explanations as to how supply comes in and how absorption happens, and how failures happens, and how this third time, it was a very important moment right here close to the resistance where we have the vertical absorption. The price shows some selling, but it's less, and it's being absorbed almost immediately. That is the precursor to a potential continuation from this particular spot.
More and more I see uh, you've done a lot of work on this, the accumulation occurring on a declining scale
Hmm.
and distribution occurring on a rising scale. And I believe
Right.
that that's what we saw happen
Yeah.
here in January, February.
Yeah, and the momentum to the downside, that's what is so important in the creation of the structure like this, right? Or momentum to the upside, like a strong momentum to the upside in the leadership, especially.
Yeah.
That that would dictate that type of creation of the structure. Um, just the intraday analysis, and Bruce has made this point already. I just want to reiterate it because of high volatility, because of how the market moves so much, we kind of have to go more to the lower time frame. But at the same time, you have to recognize that there are some spots where you have to start thinking about what's going to come next. And if something is going to hold, then we want to be able to put on our swing trades and carry them finally overnight. It was not possible during the decline or even during the bottom information, but definitely became more possible since last Thursday, Friday, and into Monday. Um, so what else here, Bruce, can I show?
We got
Um,
about just under 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes. Okay, well, probably just the latest. Um, so some of the lessons that we learn as we go along the way. So let me just bring this up. For instance, from last night, this was the tweet after the session. We saw some selling going into the session, and that raised the question, are we going to have some kind of reaction? So the question was, will it fall down? Well, there are certain requirements that we need, right? So we need to commit below specific support area. Also, as the price goes down, and it did overnight, we want to look at the character with which the price moves. And we said that the bullish case scenario would see depressed selling on slowly sliding down prices without significant down progress. And this is what we see in shortening of the thrust. Look at the character with which it moves down. And then we have to see as a confirmation a breakthrough specific resistance points. And look how rally just took us out of this area. So all of that, we're just going through. And at this point, Bruce, I think that the targets are still relevant. So I'm looking forward to actually, converting these targets into the PNF targets that you've provided us yesterday, and just comparing those.
Well, we'll do that for sure. And we're almost out of time, but Ramon, they get to your Twitter feed. It's Wyckoff Analysis, right? At Wyckoff Analysis.
Yes.
Okay. And with that, Ramon, thank you for being here and for giving us such good news. And we will uh, do it again sometime really soon.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Take care.